What's going on, guys? Welcome to or welcome back to the channel. My name is Isaac, aka The Baddest, and today I will be responding to some of your FNAF hot takes. This is the second time I've done this. Basically, I asked you guys for some of your unpopular opinions on the FNAF series, and I selected some of the best replies, and I'm going to be responding to them. Let me know what you think of these in the comments down below, and if you want me to do another one of these, let me know in the comments below. FNAF should have two types of games, those like Security Breach that are more lighthearted, and the second like FNAF Plus that are pure horror. That's kind of what FNAF was for a period of time. You had Freddy in Space 2, FNAF World, and then you had FNAF 1 to 7. You know, that's kind of what it was for a period of time, and I do think that would definitely make it so everyone gets what they want, but then at the same time, who would be working on these games? You know, Steelwool is only going to work on one game at a time, and Scott is retiring, so I don't think that could happen, and I'm not sure if it would be best because of the work that it would take, but it would be obviously an ideal situation is where everyone gets what they want and everyone can be happy with the content that's coming out. FNAF 3 was a good way to end the story. That's such a cold take. No, that's such a cold take. Yes, a lot of people think that. It's like 50-50. Yeah, FNAF 3 would have been a good way to end the story. I think 6 is better, but yeah, FNAF 3 would have been a good way to end the story. It's a good ending. The Happiest Day ending is a great one. This is not a hot take. FNAF 1 to 3 was the best era, lore-wise. I would agree. It was definitely the most fun to talk about. It was the most intriguing part of the series. I enjoyed talking more about, you know, Purple Guy, and less about the sci-fi stuff, like no Remnant was introduced. And, you know, Circus Babies wasn't introduced. I definitely think that was a more enjoyable era of the series, just as far as talking about the story, talking about the characters. You know, you just had Purple Guy and the Puppet, and those two, Purple Guy, the Puppet, and then, you know, Springtrap also being the Purple Guy. That was a very enjoyable part of the series for me. Molten Freddy surviving the fire was a good decision. I mean, it's the least annoying out of everyone that could come back, but my question still is, why? It wouldn't bother me as much because they're unimportant, but because they're unimportant, them coming back would really deliver nothing for the series in terms of good story or anything, really. I don't know, it would bother me the least out of everyone that died in Pizzeria Simulator, but it doesn't sound like a good idea to me. Elizabeth isn't that good of a character. Her motives are unclear, and I still don't know if Baby is in control or Elizabeth is. This I would probably have to agree with. It's very unclear if Circus Baby is in control or not, because she says things like, I was on stage once, which is coming from Circus Baby, but then saying, I will make you proud. I guess that could also be Baby. Baby is more likely to be in control, but yeah, it's not really made clear. Baby's whole motive is to become whole, I guess. But what does that actually mean? Yeah, every character is fleshed out in a really weird way in the series, and I do wish character development was more of a focus on the story. But yeah, out of all of them, Elizabeth definitely has the worst developed character, I would say. FNAF 3 is actually a very good game and is just misunderstood by the community. I only included this one because it's wrong, like, in a way. Like, I'm not going to disagree that FNAF 3 is a good game, but it's not misunderstood by anyone. Everyone fully understands FNAF 3 in both its gameplay and story. It's not misunderstood by anyone. Get off your high horse, buddy. Everyone understands it. A lot of people just don't like it for very reasonable reasons. Markiplier would probably write better lore than Steelwool. Well, it's unclear how much of Security Breach was written by Steelwool, but the answer to that is probably yes. Markiplier, although he is most known for just playing video games, he is actually a very good writer. If you watch things like Who Killed Markiplier or Damien, he's actually a good writer. He's very good with that stuff. You can tell he has like a vision for it. So, and yeah, he's also good with horror. He's not that good with the Five Nights at Freddy's series. You know, he's the king and all, but he's not actually that good with it anymore because he has more important things to think about. But he actually, I think, would be pretty good at writing a story for a series like Five Nights at Freddy's. So, you're probably right, honestly. Happy Frog is terrifying. I don't know if this is a joke or not. I guess she's kind of terrifying in the sense that she looks so stupid, I'm afraid that my head will explode.
Turn your back for 1 second and I'm like, wazoo! Ninja skills.
They should have never made novels. I don't necessarily agree with this because I think there's a lot you can do with a FNAF story. It's just about making it good. A FNAF novel can definitely turn out good. A FNAF novel can definitely turn out to be better than the story of the games even. It can definitely turn into a very concrete and enjoyable story. However, it has to be done right. And was it, and has it been? That's up for debate. I hate the design of the nightmares. They're just trying too hard and I can't really take it seriously. I've heard this one a few times. I don't really agree. For me, I find them quite scary. I find them pretty terrifying and I really like the designs of them. But I can absolutely understand this approach. Sister Location messing up the lore by adding a second purple guy was completely stupid. They didn't even do anything with the idea. Do you not remember why there was a second purple guy? Do you not remember that? Because, yeah, they did do something with it. He turned purple because his body was fucking rotting apart because there was a robot inside of him. That's why that happened. What was stupid about it? I mean, I guess some people might have found it confusing that there were two purple guys, but one of them is literally purple, one of them is represented by purple. There was a reason for the character to turn purple, and they did do something with it. You're just wrong about that. They did do something with it. There was a reason for it to happen. Glamrock Freddy is overrated. He lacks body language and facial expressions. Most of his dialogue isn't intriguing. His relationship with Gregory feels hollow and uninteresting. Well, every character in Five Nights at Freddy's lacks body language and facial expressions, but I can see where you're coming from. I can understand why not everyone likes Glamrock Freddy. It definitely... His relationship with Gregory definitely could have been written better. But I don't know. I like Glamrock Freddy. He was like a nice bit of comedic relief at times. He's adorable in a lot of ways. He was a nice part of Security Breach for me, personally. Most FNAF merch is horrible, and 50% or more of companies should lose their FNAF license. That's probably accurate. It's probably not an unfair statement. I think FNAF 2 is one of the worst games in the main series. The atmosphere is probably the weakest of the Scott-made games, the toy designs never stuck with me, the mask mechanic is really poorly utilized and not explored at all. It's an incredibly two-dimensional mechanic. If they're in your office, put the mask on, that's it. At least in FNAF 1 you had to utilize your doors well by checking for animatronic positions and how close they were / how safe it was to open your door. But in FNAF 2, all of its mechanics are incredibly basic and don't get used for their full potential, though I do respect what FNAF 2 did for the series. I understand the criticism of FNAF 2's gameplay. It's very repetitive and very, straightforward. But if you think it's worse than FNAF 1, you're weird. You really tried to, like, suck off FNAF 1 right there. You really tried. It didn't work. You have to make sure they're at the door or not at the door. Yeah? Is that hard for some people? It's not any harder. It's just as easy. If they're in front of you in FNAF 2, you put the mask on. If they're at the door, you close the door in FNAF 1. It's the exact same thing. And the atmosphere of FNAF 2 isn't great. I don't know if it's the worst of the series, but it's not great. No, yeah, I think FNAF 2 is the best game in the series because it has the most intriguing lore of any story and some of the greatest characters to ever exist. So, I disagree. Most FNAF fan games have a better story than FNAF as a whole. Do they, though? They're usually kind of cringe, aren't they? I don't know. I guess I don't know them well enough. A lot of them are kind of cringe, though. I don't know if I can agree with this or not. Ultimate Custom Night is the game that made me lose all hope in the series. Terrible jump scares, flimsy premise for a story, no horror elements whatsoever, and incredibly goofy. This is just a really weird take in my opinion. I'm not gonna bully you for it because I don't blame you necessarily, but it's a really weird take. Ultimate Custom Night, a game that was just basically meant to be a strategy game, is what made you lose hope for the series. That's really fucking weird. Yeah, the jump scares weren't great because there were 50 characters and not all of them could have been animated. Yes, it was a flimsy premise for a story because there was no story. Yeah, there wasn't much horror to it because it was so strategy-based that there was like no room for horror to exist. And I wouldn't say it's all that... I mean, there's goofy voice lines sometimes. That's kind of it. This is a really weird thing to me. Like, it made you lose hope in the series. That's really fucking weird. Most people forget William has a voice at the start of Sister Location. I don't think people have forgotten. I think people just don't care. Who the fuck cares? Doesn't really matter. He also has voice lines in Pizzeria Simulator. Doesn't really matter. I think the stories of FNAF 1, 2, and 3 should be separated from that of Sister Location and Pizzeria Simulator. The initial three are a horror story with subtle emotional beats, and SL and PS are a sci-fi story with horror elements and a lot of emotion that I think could have been capitalized on more. I can understand that idea to some extent, but at the same time, you can't have one without the other. You can't have the first three without the first... you can't have SL and Pizzeria Simulator without the first three. So... Would it be better the way you described it? Probably not. I don't think you can do that, really. So those were your FNAF hot takes. Let me know what you guys thought of them. A lot of them weren't all that hot, but a lot of them were also really debatable. Anyway, yeah, that's going to be all for this video. Hit like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Comment some of your FNAF hot takes if you want to. It's up to you. I will see you guys in the next video.